A young hunter walks through the morning cold. He is strong, healthy, and not yet 20. By every sign, he should have decades ahead of him. Yet in the ancient world, many never reached 30. Most people think they know why. Life was harsh. Food was scarce. Danger was everywhere. The numbers seem to prove it. The average age of ancient humans was often under 30. That sounds like evidence that most people died young. And for years, that has been the story. But hidden inside that statistic is one detail that changes everything. Once you see it, the ancient world looks very different. At first, the common belief seems correct. Ancient life was dangerous in ways that are hard to imagine today. A simple cut could become deadly. Bad weather could destroy food supplies. Disease spread quickly, and there were no hospitals to help. Many children never reached adulthood. When people look at an average lifespan under 30, these dangers seem to explain everything. The number feels like proof that most adults rarely lived beyond their 20s. The picture appears clear. Life was short, and death came early. But there is one part of that statistic most people never stop to question, and that missing piece changes what the number is really telling us. The hidden detail is simple. That average lifespan includes everyone who was born, even those who died as babies or young children. Imagine 10 people. 5 die before age 5. The other 5 live to 60. The average age at death falls sharply, even though many adults reached old age. That means the famous number was not really measuring how long grown adults lived. It was measuring how dangerous the first years of life were. Once a child survived those early years, the story often changed. The average stayed low, but many people were no longer racing toward an early death. They had already passed the greatest danger. For ancient families, the real threat was often the beginning of life itself. A newborn faced dangers from the first day. Illness, infection, poor nutrition, and harsh living conditions could turn a small problem into a deadly one. There were no vaccines, no antibiotics, and little understanding of disease. Imagine a village with 100 children born in a year. Many might never see their 5th birthday. Those losses were common enough to pull the average lifespan down for everyone. That is why the number looks so shocking. It is not mainly telling us how adults died. It is revealing how many never got the chance to become adults at all. But surviving childhood did not mean life became easy. Ancient adults still faced dangers every day. A deep cut while hunting could become infected. A broken bone could end a person's ability to work. Even a bad tooth could lead to a deadly illness. Yet many people who made it through childhood lived far longer than most imagine. Some reached their 50s, 60s, or beyond. Their lives were difficult, but they were not automatically short. This is where the old picture begins to fall apart. If many adults lived for decades, then what was the single biggest force pulling the average age so low? The answer lies in the earliest years of life. Before modern medicine, the first years of life were often the most dangerous. A baby could become seriously ill from problems that are easily treated today. Clean water was rare. Food was not always reliable. Diseases moved through families and villages with little warning. Parents understood this risk well. In many ancient societies, reaching childhood milestones was a reason to celebrate because survival was never guaranteed. Every year a child lived increased the chances of reaching adulthood. This is why the question in our title has a surprising answer. It was not usually war. It was not giant predators. It was not some single deadly disease. The biggest killer of ancient humans before 30 was the high number who died during infancy and early childhood. And once we understand that, another question appears. If childhood was the greatest danger, what were the specific threats that made those early years so deadly? One of the biggest threats was infection. Today, a fever can often be treated with medicine. In the ancient world, it was different. A child could develop a simple illness and grow weaker within days. There were no antibiotics, no emergency rooms, and little understanding of how diseases spread. Poor nutrition made the danger even worse. When food was scarce, young bodies had a harder time fighting sickness. A child who survived one illness might face another only weeks later. Clean water was also a constant problem. Streams and wells could carry harmful germs even when the water looked safe. Families drank it because they had no other choice. These dangers worked together. Hunger weakened the body. Disease took advantage of that weakness. Infection finished what the others started. For many ancient children, the battle for survival began long before they could walk or speak, and those who made it through those early years had already overcome the greatest challenge of their lives. Even after reaching adulthood, ancient humans lived with risks that are hard to imagine today. A small wound from a tool or animal could become infected. A sickness that keeps someone in bed for a week now could have been a death sentence then. But there is something surprising in the evidence left behind. Archaeologists have found skeletons showing signs of healed injuries. Broken bones had mended. Serious wounds had closed. Some people survived accidents that should have killed them. That tells us something important. Ancient humans were not simply dying the moment trouble appeared. Many were tough, skilled, and supported by the people around them. Families and communities often cared for the sick and injured. The ancient world was dangerous, but it was not hopeless. People adapted. They survived. And those who made it past childhood often had a real chance to grow old, despite the challenges around them. In the end, the story is not really about people dying before 30. It is about how many never made it through the first years of life. That single fact changed the numbers and shaped how we remember the ancient world. The image most of us carry is often wrong. We imagine adults rarely reaching old age, but many did. If they survived childhood, they could live for decades, raise families, and grow old alongside their communities. So, when someone says ancient humans only lived to 30, remember what that number is actually hiding. It is not a clock counting down for every adult. It is a reminder of how dangerous childhood once was. And that may be the most surprising truth of all. The greatest threat came at the very beginning of life.